Okay, let's get started. Let's make sure that this is actually working. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, it's been a while since the last stream, but we are back and hopefully we can start ramping up the streams and not having month-long gaps. I don't know why this has to keep messing up. That's fine. Okay, today is very simple. I want to get back into development, and my first priority is setting up the first region for Slime Pioneers. So what exactly does that mean, though? First, the simplest method is a region is going to be, if we had the entire game map, we're going to split it up into different regions. That could be, you know, the starting area. That could be like a fire type region, a snow region, ocean region, that type of stuff. And then inside of each region, we're going to split it up even further into zones. And zones are going to be the different different terrain for the same theme, if that makes sense. So for the starting area, we'll go with, you know, like a meadow zone. We might have a forest type zone, that type of stuff. And that's what I want to get to today, is figuring out what the first region is going to be. Hello, Sentient Microwave. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? So with all that said, I need to get version control, because version control keeps turning off every single time for some reason. We've been dealing with a lot of issues with getting my computer all set up again, which has not been fun. I think, let me just get this all set up. There we go. Cool. So what I want to do today is get started with the region development. Let me make sure the stream quality is good. It should be fine. Yep. So what I want to start with is I want to try to create kind of a map so that we can plan out exactly where everything's going to go. And what I really want to figure out first is how fast the player moves, because what I'm thinking is somewhere around 100 meters to 1,000 meters for the first region would be pretty good. And that's just going left to right, basically. So I kind of want to, let's actually just move the character all the way to the right. I have a little bit of limited mouse space right now because I have my drawing tablet down so we can test this. But if we bring the player all the way to the right. Now, this ground plane right now, it's 250 meters. So the idea, I think the ideal length would probably be if you could run from one side to the other within about maybe 2 minutes, I think would be a decent amount of time, because keep in mind, people aren't going to be running in a straight line. So let's see if that plays well, I guess. I think I forgot to full screen that. Hold up. It's just full screen, so we can test this well. You're doing fine here. That sounds great. Okay. So this map right now is 250 meters start to finish. So right now it's 7:38. So ideally, if I start running, I just want to see how long it takes me to get to the end here. Because obviously the more we do, the more we have to actually fill the map with stuff. And that's always difficult with game development. And keep in mind, this is only the first region. So the first region is a safe area, very green, luscious, you know, filled with trees, grass, all of that type of stuff. And then as you explore into new regions, you'll get to different areas. Okay, we have gotten to the end, and it's 7:39, so that's about a minute or so. of continuous running in one direction. I'm thinking we maybe go for like 2 odd minutes, so maybe 500 meters could be decent. I mean, we can try 500 meters, I guess. We'll just size this up by 2. And then we'll bring the player all the way back and try that again. I just want to get a good sense for how large this first region will be. And then we'll go into Krita and we'll start actually designing the world, figuring out what we want in this first region. Okay, so it is 7:40 and we'll just start running. And with nothing here, admittedly, it feels very barren and feels very big. But I think when we actually start adding in, trees, rocks, adding vertical terrain and stuff, it'll probably start to fill a lot faster. So let's just see how long this takes. Still 7:40. And we're passing the halfway mark right about here, and it's 7:41. Maybe this is a bit too long. And I'm always open to feedback or ideas on what we can do for this map. We're still crawling all the way up. Now keep in mind, this is a sprint speed. So this is actually moving as fast, I guess, as you usually would. And it's still 7:41, so that's just under 2 minutes, I think. I feel like the character feels very small, because these are all 1 meter tiles. Let's just double check our character size here. Oh, actually, no, yeah, sorry, that makes sense, because we're scaled, so 1 meter is twice as long. Okay, I feel like that might have been a bit too long, so we could probably aim for somewhere around maybe 350 would be decent, I think. 350 meters or so. That'll get you over 1 minute, less than 2 minutes of continuous sprinting. I'm just working on sprite sheets for my game after I lost the previous amount of sprite sheets. Ah, that sucks. Well, hopefully being able to work on new ones at least gives you an opportunity to make them better, I guess. You know, improve, make sure that it's definitely exactly what you're looking for in your game. That'd be best case scenario, I guess, given you're losing sprite sheets. Okay, well, I think about... we could probably go like 400 meters, maybe. So what the idea is that if I'm picking a size for my image, we could probably go maybe 2 pixels per meter, I'm thinking. Just so that we have some level of quality. I mean, that's... how long would that take? For 400 meters, that would be an 800 pixel sheet. I just want to make sure that we're still getting a good quality image. Try 300 and 350 and compare the sprint time. Yeah. I mean, we can try going there. The 250, I think, was a bit quick. So we'll probably go somewhere between 350 and 400 is, I think, the idea. And look, this can all be changed as we develop. The main thing is that what my plan is to create a map similar to, if we go is that not showing? Let me go here. And there we go. Okay, so if we ever look at like a map from How to Train Your Dragon, for example, you can see how it's like different pieces of paper stuck together and it makes this larger map. My idea is to do something similar in Critter and basically design the first region and then extend the image size, and then we can draw the next one. And by the end of it, we might have like an 8K resolution image, but that's just because it's the whole map. So I'm just trying to get like a general size so we know how many pixels to start off with, but it'll obviously change as we go. So we can probably go... I just want to make sure that we have enough quality and resolution so that we're not bottlenecked there. I'm thinking maybe we go 4 pixels. Or make it easy 5 pixels maybe. We can try 2 pixels. Okay, let's just do this. Let's try 2 pixels per meter and see what that looks like resolution wise. So we'll go 800 width will be a 400 meter long area, and I'm thinking the height will probably be about 2/3 of that. I think that's a reasonable amount, because you don't need like a big square, you kind of just want a rectangle. I think that'd be good. So maybe somewhere we could try 600 pixels, I guess. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it's a bit tall. Maybe we go 500 pixels. I think that might be a better break point. So just over halfway. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay. Let me make sure that I'm saving this to the right area, and then we can actually get started. Make a planning folder for this world map. And we'll call this file, I guess. Yeah, we'll just call it world map. Why not? Okay. Let's start. Oh, and my mouse isn't even on my drawing tablet. We love when we have all of this randomness. How do I get this back on my drawing tablet? I think I need to re-download my drivers again. We've been having so many computer issues lately, which is why I haven't been able to upload or stream much recently, but I plan on streaming a lot more now. Canvas Pro 27, I think. We can try that at least. Once we can get this all fixed, we can get started quicker. And we won't have these issues for the next stream. Hopefully. We'll see. Always having issues though. Just need the driver to download, please, and then I can use my drawing tablet. It is not running. Why is it not running? Yeah, let's try this driver instead. Bear with me for a second. Oh, this might be working now, maybe. Installing. There we go. Okay. Now we can get started. So, we'll start with red. What we'll do is we'll create a rectangle just around that same size map. I guess we've actually kind of already made it. What we'll do is pick that brush. And let's just shrink this brush all the way down. So, what I'm thinking for the first region is it should be a fairly contained area of the map. So if we were to kind of block it off like around this level, let's go like there, and then have like a river that goes into more terrain above it is the idea. So to be honest, maybe making that height bigger would have been a better idea. So we can just crop it here, make the height 600. 600. And then that way we can have the end of the river on the other side to still be a part of this region as it fades into the next parts of the map. Now I need to figure out why this pen is not actually working properly. Let's go pen. It's just one of the keys on it is on the wrong thing. Yeah, it's trying to use E for some reason. We don't want E, we want our middle button. That should work now. Yeah, there we go. We can move it around. Okay. So yeah, what I'm thinking is let's start by kind of dividing the region up. So we'll start by adding the river. That way we know where we can traverse, I guess. Because the idea is that you would learn how to play the game, right? Go through the tutorial in this region before being able to move on. So we'll start somewhere around this height here, and the river can be, you know, however long I think it needs to be, somewhere there. And let's go to red now, and we'll just start to define the general layout of the map, because we'll change this river position as we figure out what the layout's going to be. For those who are new to Slime Pioneers and what I'm doing here, the idea is that you're in a massive underground cavern. It means that the walls here are all going to be blocked off by rock, by actual cavern walls. So we don't have as many issues of, you know, a river just abruptly stopping, because there's actually potentially a rock there, or like a wall there, I guess. So if we started with the first region, we want quite a big area. How do we want to design this? Maybe we start by picking the zones, I guess. That's probably a better way to do it. So what I'm thinking off rip is we want at least... let's shrink that. Yeah, we want at least a... Why is that not extending? What? Why does this cursor suck? Alright, that's working. I don't know why it's not letting me do pressure sensitivity. I need to figure that out later. But we want at least a meadows. However you spell meadow. I think that's how. Okay, this pen is really not doing well right now. Wait, I accidentally left. What were you? GG to create. Not entirely sure what you mean by that. Right now we're designing the first region of the game though. So we're kind of figuring out what we want in that first area, what type of zones we want. So I want like a nice flat kind of meadows area. And then I also want a forest. I don't know why this pen is... What is going on with my pen right now? Like it's freezing when I try to move it. Don't know why that's happening. Is there a way to stop that? Oh, there we go. Okay, and now we can... I think that's working now. Cool. Okay. Let's actually spell forest correctly though. So meadows and a forest. I think those are the best zones that we can start with. I accidentally left the stream when you were explaining what you were going to create here. Are you trying to draw? Yeah, I've had a lot of computer issues, which is why I haven't been able to stream recently. And basically, long story short, I had to completely wipe my C drive and reinstall Windows, and that ended up destroying like all my drivers and everything which my tablet runs off of. So it's just being a bit finicky right now. Because I haven't actually used the tablet. I don't use it day to day, so I haven't used it since like the last stream. But we should be fine now. So we want a meadows and a forest. Let's drop the opacity there. Let's figure out a general layout. What I'm thinking is if we define the zones first, we can kind of work around the zones. So if we had like a meadows here, we just build the area around that. Does that mean gameplay soon? So my first priority right now is going to be working on getting the first region of the map done. So I want you to actually be able to explore and look around and see cool things. So that's going to be a lot of art for the next maybe month or so. But while we're developing that, I'll also be adding in new slimes, and we'll probably try to do slime abilities and stuff during that type of development. Wait, are you making a game? Yes, I am making a video game. It's called Slime Pioneers. You can check out, I have 2 devlog videos on YouTube. I've been streaming on there. So yeah, if you go to my YouTube channel, it should just be at Firestorm. It might be at True Firestorm because people keep taking the name that I want. What's my at? Let's quickly just make sure we get that. It's at True Firestorm. It should be in a description, I believe, on Twitch. No, but there's a link on Twitch, so you can go there. But developing a game, basically the idea is it's a mix of games like Slime Rancher, a mix of shows like Slug Terror and that type of stuff. It's an underground cavern that you're exploring, and you're going to be essentially finding and collecting slimes. And the slimes have different abilities, so you can throw one that can explode, which helps for solving puzzles, right? You can break through cracked walls. Like the time I reincarnated as a slime kind of vibe. Yeah, similar to that, but it's basically, it's all about slimes, like they're the creatures that are in this world. So you're not going to see, you know, goblins and stuff running around. It's focused on the slimes. Mostly like a creature collection game, but you will also have base building, and you know, you'll be able to have at least some level of combat. I have not figured out how much yet, but there will be some level of combat. Whether that's trying to tame a fire slime and you need to use one that has water abilities to kind of cool it down to be able to get close to it and tame it or capture it, or whether, you know, maybe we work on adding like an actual boss or something. But the game's a cozy exploration adventure game, so it's not meant to be super tough. It's not meant to be like a Souls-like or something. Okay, so we want the meadows and we want the forest. Does anyone else have any ideas for what our first region can be? How would the slime look like? I don't think you can see the thumbnail, can you? No rush answering. Yeah, I'll try to answer when I can. Obviously, we want to get some progress done. But I'll also be asking for any advice or thoughts. So we do have some basic gameplay right now, just to show you. And these are what our basic slimes look like. They're not animated right now. They're just moving around. But they're little green slimes wandering around. Player can move around. And you can see here, right? You throw slimes out of a capsule. And then this is your tame slimes on your left. So this is slimy. And you'll be able to use abilities when you throw them. So if I can throw one and have it like detonate on impact type of thing for an explosive slime. And then I believe we have, and you press E and Q to swap between your selected slime, so you can kind of put them in any order you want. And there should be, yep, if I press P, I can check my arsenal. And that's a 2D drawing of the basic slime there. I've gone through all of this in my latest devlog video, which was about a month ago. So you can look there later if you want to see exactly how progress is gone so far. Okay, so meadows, forest, you said a swamp. I think a swamp could be an interesting idea. We'll at least mark it down. The idea for the first zone is that it's going to be a little bit calmer. You know, it's sort of a tutorial zone. So if we end up making swamps a bit more dangerous, that might be moved to a different area. So if we pick a player spawn at around center here, around center here, and the player's looking this direction, which is towards the first exit of this zone, will be up here. So players looking in this direction. Is my touch sensitivity working yet? No. That's fun. Okay. Player spawns here, looking this direction. Then what I'm thinking is having kind of a pseudo path. So it's not going to be like an actual path, but basically if the player has a clear line of vision when they spawn, that's the main thing that you want. So if we were to have kind of meadows, and we'll make this look good after we figure out where everything's gonna go, but we could basically have these massive chunks of meadow on the left and right, and basically just have kind of a more flat area so that the player can walk between it all. Obviously we want our river, so let's just move that. No, okay, I feel like that's a good area, so maybe we shrink the actual meadow part itself, which is that one. So we'll go, maybe make the player spawn a little bit further back. Realistically, the player doesn't need a lot of space behind where they spawn, right? That should mostly be covered. I'm thinking if they wander all the way to the left and, you know, there's like an entrance and you can have something secret here, that could be cool. But we don't need them, you know, being able to just run straight back. So we don't need too much room there. And we want to maximize the amount of room in front of the player. So, yeah, we can go like, if this is a river, we probably want something like this for the meadows. And the reason why I'm putting a little padding here is that rivers are most likely going to start having some sand or beach-like quality, or they might have like more muddy terrain. That's actually probably better given this is a grassy area. So if this is all mud, that blends into the meadows. I think that makes sense. Now this is quite massive, to be honest. We really don't need it to be that big of just pure meadows. So if we try to add a forest, I think that would definitely work. I'm thinking the forest could be bottom left, somewhere like that much of a forest, maybe a bit less. I mean, this is a pretty big space, so we don't need too much. And if the forest is on the left, we can probably have some more elevated terrain kind of around this side of the meadows, maybe a little bit less. So something like there is probably a decent amount of space of elevated platforms. Because it's in a cavern, we can kind of do whatever we want, right? We could have a platform that's, you know, 10, 20 meters in the sky, and maybe you have to climb up it to get over, and then there's some secret there. And this will be a rock wall, so we'll block this off, and we'll actually color code this in a second as well. But if this is a rock wall here, then, and that extends by quite a bit on either side. Honestly, we can probably go like that. So we got meadows, forest, an elevated platform, and on the other side of the river, I also want kind of a good-ish amount of space like that of maybe we can make it a little bit more narrow, because it's going to be an exit towards more, right, towards other areas. So we can make this an exit which is a little bit less space like that. If we wanted to add a swamp, what could we do? Could have a swamp on the right side towards the elevated platform, like around here. Just a small one, potentially. As far as the slimes that we can find, that's probably a good way to judge what we want. Is if we go into our plan, so we're going to have our basic slime. That's locked in, that's happening. Because that's going to be the first slime that you see. They don't really have too many abilities. Then, down here in the terror section, I think a fern slime would be good. They're going to be found in the meadows. They're going to be kind of a slime that looks like it's covered in grass. Or made of grass, I guess. And then our final slime, because I'm thinking about 3 odd slimes per region. 3 to 5, maybe. Our final main slime that you'll find will be, I think, will be the one from the forest. That will be kind of a, what would we call it? We can go make a document. Which are these? Yeah, these are empty. That's fine. So we'll make an empty document. with the same color code. And we'll call this one like a wooden slime. That's not a good word, but we'll come up with something later. Item type is invalid. Please try again. That's fun. Then we'll have to just have that in our mental memory. Basically, you'll be able to get resources from slimes. So we'll have, in the forest, you can find a slime that gives you kind of a wooden type of resource. And to be honest, we can probably have trees lining this area as well. Have that extend further that way. And even have some trees kind of around this area. Could be cool as well. So I think that will work. Let's call this region outline. And we'll do this in black. And let's try to just get a general outline of what this zone can look like. So if we're starting down here. This is a very awkward position for my hand to be in. Something like this. And we can extend that all the way out. Like so. This is a very jagged thing. We should probably get a smoother cursor, to be honest. Which we can just make it smoother. Do they not have a smooth option? In this one, maybe? Just trying to remember how we actually smooth out hens in Critter. It's not softness. I don't remember. We can refine this later anyways, so that's fine. We'll definitely need to refine it anyways. I'm not a big fan of this. We don't want it to be too blocky, right? So maybe we smooth out the forest side, make that more curved. Something like that, potentially. We don't want that to be too big up there. If anything, we can go further out, in, out, smooth. And then just erase this part. There we go. Just erase on this side as well. Something like that. That's something. Doesn't look the best in fairness, but we can work with it for now. Let's just drop this opacity of everything. And let's get to defining kind of the meadows. So meadows are gonna be very vibrant. So we'll go something like that color potentially, and we'll just paint in our sections. Right now it doesn't need to look particularly great, like I said, so we'll kind of just make a meadows, and we're going to blend the colors anyways, so we're just getting a general outline. Like so. And make that go all the way across. And then over on this side as well. Something like that. We can just fill this in for now. Might be the wrong color for meadows. It's very limey, I guess. But we'll just fill this in. Doesn't matter if it spills that much. And then just color it in. And then we go do that on the other side as well. And we'll just go like a slightly browner look. Like that. There. For the path. Which pretty much just extends into mud towards the river area. Which is even brownier, like very brown. Like so. And do the same thing on the other side of the river. Make it somewhat thick, not too thick. And this is just gonna basically work as a reference for when I go make the assets and fill them in. So it doesn't need to look particularly great. It just needs to work good enough. And once we figure out the zoning, then we have to figure out actually the level design part, because this is a really horrible level right now, right? You basically just run in a straight line, find the river, cross it. There's nothing to it. So we need to actually build in some blocks and pathways, you know, around, reasons to go down towards the forests and stuff. Forest wise are just really dark greens. That's good enough, I think. Something like that. And I'm purposely leaving out the bottom area for now, because I'm thinking that it would be cool to have kind of a cave back here. And you can probably enter it from the forest would be a decent idea. But we'll see as we go through the actual level design part of this process. Because right now this looks like trash. And we want a cliff face. So we'll go for a very desaturated look to make up the cliff. Like so. And for this corner here, I mean, we can probably just frankly stop this early. Something like that would be decent. So we'll go back to black, do super small, and just kind of cross this area off like that. That is the wrong layer. There we go. And just erase that. Okay. This looks absolutely horrible, and that is perfectly fine for level design. If that's our area, right, then that means that our forest part of the map will only be approximately 115 meters in size. Now, back in game, we can go ahead and create a plane here. Just zero that out. And this plane will make it 115. 115. And we can make it green just so that we can actually see it. How do I actually do that? It's not in edit mode. Hold on. Tools. Does that work now? Oh. How does ProBuilder work in Unity 6.3? Because I can't do anything. We can go here, I guess. Vertex color editor. Make it green. I would like to not have it be can we not go 115? Yeah, no. Okay, here we go. 115, 115. And then we can change the color. In editor, vertex, green. There we go. So this is how big the forest is on our map, which does not seem right at all. Let's just double check Critter for a second. So we have an 800 wide area, which we decided was 400 meters. This should take up 115. Which is just more than a quarter. Oh, no, okay, that might be right. It reads him all the way. No, I feel like that's... Oh, sorry, yeah, this is only 250. What am I saying? No wonder this is wrong. Let's create a new plane for the ground. Just so that we can test this. And this goes to 250 by 250. No, 400 by 400. There we go. So this is there. We're talking right about here is the forest. Now for the player, if the player was to just run along the forest line, how big is this actually going to feel? And keep in mind, this is going to be covered in trees, so it's not like it needs to be massive. It will take a while to traverse. That was starting like kind of halfway through, so if you're running this way, Honestly, we might have the map a bit too big, to be honest. But we'll see. Because that's quite a big area just for like a tiny corner. In fairness, about a fourth of the area, but that is quite big. So maybe... I mean, that should be fine. To be honest, that should be fine. You know, worst case, we scale everything down in the map, but the actual map amount that we're allotting in this drawing is seemingly fine. What that does mean, though, is however long that took... Why can't I scale? Okay. However long that took, we have that much in Meadows space, plus that much over the river as well. I don't know what is going on with this tool settings. I hate when I lose all of my keybinds. Where's keybinds? Is it shortcuts? Tool. If I can even spell. Tools scale. I want that on S. And rotate. Rotate will be on R. I don't know why they're not like that already. Okay. So that's a lot of meadow space. That does give us a lot of area to play through. But this is also a lot of area. So maybe we will cut it down by half in the end, I think. As far as the amount of forest we're getting, I'm thinking we can probably go more forest, to be honest. And in fairness, our actual drawing kind of had that same approach to it. So if it wants to swap, there we go. If we remove here, we said that we can probably add more trees on this side. Now the player's starting right here, so we don't want to be too close to the player with the forest. So instead, we can probably go a bit along this path more. If we wanted to extend it, somewhere like that. And then we can add in a small little inset for our cave that we are yet to design. Could be like so. And I keep doing this in the wrong layer. Let's just redesign that like so. And just fill that space in. Now, like I said, this is a bit too close, I think, to the player spawning. As far as this path itself goes, I mean, that's a massive path, right? That's 20 meters wide. So, going back to our measurements here, okay, it's just not gonna let us edit the shape and keep the color, which is very annoying because I don't want to have to keep changing this, but this is the size. I don't know what's going on. What is going on with the shadows? I mean, we can check this out, I guess. And just remove global. Oh. Oh. Disable. Okay, I have no idea what is causing this type of lighting issue in Unity. I have never seen that before. Because it's like it's keeping the original shape, but it's obviously not. If we make it a cube, that's not going to do anything. Okay, we'll just delete it then, I guess. I don't know what was going on there. So we'll make this 20 meters. Okay, if we can't do that, then we'll just have to make a new one. 20 meters there. Okay. This is the path. What is... I'm just so confused. Let's just create a normal lane for now. I have to figure out all of this stuff later, I guess. That's about 10 meters, I think. So we'll just size that by 2. This is the length, the size of the path. Now that's really large, right? Because the player is spawning at about here. We bring the player back. And hit play. We will notice that it's a pretty large amount of space. Now, it's not that big, all things considered. And this is just creating a slight dirt path. So we might make it a little bit thinner, but not too much. It's actually not too bad right now. So we can just size it in like so. And then on this side as well. Size it in just a little bit, like so. That'll be good. And now we're gonna have a little inset. So the way that I'm thinking the actual, the way the player spawns is they're gonna be coming down kind of a tube in essence. So there should be a little, because they're coming down from the surface of the planet down. So there should be kind of a inset area, not too big. Something like that, where the player is going to fall right here, walk out of this little inset. So we might make it a bit deeper. Something like that. They'll walk out, see all of this meadows, and the idea is that their first priority would be building a base somewhere like here, right? Base is probably going to be what? That big, maybe? And then if the player wanted to, they could extend the base, right? Go here, go there, more, and basically just add more rooms over time. Or they could add new buildings, so maybe add some farms. And really we want to give them enough room so that they could build whatever type of base they want in these meadow sections. Or if we are playing with a friend in co-op, because I want to add co-op, I build a base, my friend builds a base, maybe we're playing with a group of 4, other people build bases, extend the bases and you can kind of build a little town. That's the general idea. So I think this sizing is actually pretty decent. We'll end up seeing how big it feels in the end. But this should be good. So this is our offset here, which is always in the wrong layer because I am not keeping track of my layers. Let me just move my mic a bit up. So we'll have an inset that big, also maybe a bit smaller. Player will walk through. I'll see at the meadows. Now we want to drive the players to different areas, right? So now we're getting into a bit of the game design part of this. We need to drive the player into the forest, and we need to drive the players up into this rocky part. And the question is why? So as far as the gameplay goes, we need to build a base. And a base is going to cost materials, which we don't have. So the first priority would be, I guess, setting up a small living area, which they can do maybe with the resources that the fern slimes drop, which they're all in the meadows area. And then, if needed, we head over to the forest, and that's where we're going to actually pick up like a wood or a mushroom stem type of material to build our base from. So, we probably want a breakaway path towards the forest. And we can make this a bit later. Something like this much. Let's go in, out, like so. And for this type of path, I mean, this is a pretty big amount of area to walk. So we can probably move a bit of the forest further in so that we're not just running as much. Because right now, you're going to be running towards the forest the same amount of time that you're actually in the forest. And that's not good. That is definitely not good. So we can bring the forest a lot closer, but we still want to have enough space for the for buildings. Though we have all of this space on the right that can handle buildings as well, so the space on the left doesn't need to handle them as much. So I'm thinking maybe we bring the forest out closer, about this much. Something like that. But we don't want the player to go to the forest immediately, right? That's not what we want. So what we can do is we can probably add a wall here. And this is the benefit kind of having everything in a cavern, is that we could just add walls wherever we want to block the player from going somewhere. So this could be a wall that blocks not too much, just enough to kind of draw the player towards the meadows first. So something like this much, maybe. Let's go back to our outlined layer to do it, though. And this will give a big inset pocket where we can have more dangerous stuff and still have like a friendly forest at the top. Would be the idea, which makes sense for when we're needing to get into the cave behind. So we can probably make the pocket end there, make the entrance to the pocket like that with 2 entrances to get in and out of the pocket. Then we can fill in this space with trees. Let's just fill the color in. Like so. We're still having like a clearing at the top here, which I think is pretty nice because that way you can see the rivers as they go. Maybe we actually get the river designed now. So let's get like a light blue color and just color in the river, which is that one. And what I'm thinking for the river is the idea is that it starts as a natural block, so the player has to do something to be able to cross into the next area in the game. But over time, you might be able to go in the river, like start swimming, and go under the walls that are on the left and right. And that can be a way to quickly traverse to other regions in the map instead of having to run all the way back every time. I think that would be a pretty nice addition overall. But that is something that will come later as we actually develop more regions and more zones. Let's just fill that in. And we'll make this look pretty, like I said, a bit later. So now we've broken this stuff off into different sections and color-coded them. We might actually just finish coloring in that path as well. So let's do that. Go out. Yeah. Color in on this side. Like so. There we go. So this path brings you towards the forest. Forest has a dark, more dangerous area to it. And inside of that dangerous area, you'll be able to enter a hidden cliff face. And to be honest, with this type of area, because it is still a safe zone, we can probably have that bring you up towards the raised platform on the right side. So that's probably pretty good. Now this raised platform is designed to not be accessible in the early game, because later on you'll unlock slimes that can climb, and when you unlock slimes that can actually climb up and down, that's where you'll be able to go back to the starting area and find new areas to unlock and explore. So with that said, maybe we leave this side off for now. We can add like a grey blocking line. Just here. Now it's a cliff face, so it's kind of sharper edges, not as smooth. So something like that. And I realized I did this in the wrong layer once again. There we go. And then just fill that in. Now this is a lot of space. We do not need this much space, I think, for a hidden area anyways. So maybe we extend this out. We don't need mud path as much, so we can bring the meadows again, bring the meadows down like that much. Or maybe even like that. trying to get like a somewhat sharp look to it though, so it still stays as a obvious cliff face. That, like so. And then just color this in. And let's just erase this much. There. That's a more reasonable amount because we really don't need that much. So this will work fine. Let me put my music up. There we go. So now we have a reason to go towards the forest to build our base. We'll get the resources to build our base. Why can't I still can't hear the music. Why not? Let me just make sure my headset isn't actually dead. I think my headset might be dead. Ah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So with this amount of space in mind, we're going to be going to the forest to get some resources to build our base. Our base most likely will be built. Yep, will most likely be built on the right side over here. At least our first base. Don't know how big it'll be. Probably somewhere there. Something like that, maybe. We'll see what the size ends up being. And we're heading in this direction. Build a small tent. Go to the forest. Get slimes that can basically get you better building materials. Extend base. So base is probably going to start really small and then extend like that much or something. Okay. So that gives a reason to go. The question is, what's going on over here, I guess? And obviously, the cliff face, right? What's the purpose of having a cliff face in the first place? I'm thinking probably close this up a bit more. So we go like there. Let's make this a bit smaller. Smooth out. About that much. This is a very unnatural look, so I'd rather just close it there. And now we're just going through a bit of cleanup while we also figure out, obviously, this stuff here, which I should not have kept before painting on more stuff. There we go. Just smooth that out a bit. Now this is a really large amount of space. We don't need this much space, right? We can probably go like... yeah, something like that maybe? If we even need this amount of space. though, we can have different pockets, right? So say the entrance is somewhere around like there, maybe not too big, like that. Then basically what we need is multiple areas in this cave, because it's going to be a bit more windy, I guess. So with that in mind, what we can probably do is just erase that a bit better. Place down here. Let's clear up this space. And after we've entered this cave, right, it should be a fairly straight walk. Maybe we split off into the two directions, but have one direction be kind of a clear dead end pretty quickly. So we just kind of make it look like it's gonna go on further, and then have it not. Which realistically is more like that. Also, yeah, something like that. Then you're gonna make your way around this side. Can probably be some form of blockage right here. I'm thinking like a door or something, to which you're gonna need a different type of slime to get through the remaining half of this area. And in the remaining half of the area, we're probably going to have what? Like a reward chest or something. I don't really know what we're going to add into the game yet as far as that stuff. So maybe we leave this open for now. Is probably smart. Which means we'll just go with a general grey colour to symbolize that this is in fact a cave. So let's just color that all in. Now the idea is to refine and actually add real gameplay reasons to why some of this stuff exists. Just finish colouring this in first though. Here we go. And we'll color the inset here in that same color that the path is in. And we'll probably go in the region outline and make it cut. Like, we'll probably end it all the way. Like so. Okay. Now, I'm still not a massive fan of the shaping, but it's not the worst. It's very square, but to be honest, as we add new regions, that will get fixed anyways. and we're still yet to actually erase all of this. So maybe that'll make it look a little bit less square. Because the main thing is, like, you want it to look a bit organic. Each cavern is kind of like a pocket in the massive cave system, so, you know, you don't want them all to kind of be shaped the exact same way. And squares are just very generic. And it's really hard to capture what this will look like in 3D when drawing this here in 2D. So maybe we'll make it look a bit better as time goes on. Let's clean up some of these markings, make them look a little bit smoother. Very thick, to be honest. Let's just wipe all that back. As well. Now the good thing with this type of shaping is that you don't have to worry about this inset looking weird because it's a cave. Like, obviously there's going to be walls that cut off and extend in different ways. And with that in mind as well, it actually makes sense for us to probably add some cave structures in the actual map part itself instead of just having walls. Otherwise, what's the real point of it being in a cave? Though we do want to capture that open world essence still, right? So we don't want it to be too bad. So what we could do, let's make sure to erase this part as well. This way it should look less square as well because we're getting rid of all this excess part, so we just see the parts of the map that we care to see. There we go. Now, how can we make this more cave-like is part of the question. Maybe we start, though, by actually blending some of these colors in now. We can just bleed it. Make sure we're blending the right areas. Going to blend with green, and honestly I want to fix this color though. I'm not a big fan of this. Let's make it look more like a meadows actually would. This green I think is better. Still very saturated. Something like that. And let's make sure we're doing the same thing on this side. Because it's not a very obvious path, like it's not supposed to be. It's just supposed to give the player a slight visual interest in going kind of this direction when they spawn in. Something like that. And then we can actually color in the rest of the meadows now in this new color. Like so. Go, and then we can smooth out some of the brown, some of the mud, if you will, which will make a bit darker as well. So. Darker. In fairness, actually, this should probably be the other way around now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, let's do that. So it should be darker towards the water, lighter towards the actual grass part. Because mud will be wet, and when mud is wet, it is darker. There is something like that, and then we can actually start blending a bit, pick a middle ground type of color, drop the opacity a ton. So, and then finish off by actually coloring in glass. that even the right? It is, okay. The color's just being a bit weird. There we go. This isn't blended the best, but that doesn't really matter too much. Like I've said, this is mostly just about getting the idea across, more than anything else. So let's see what that looks like. Grab that glassy color. Fill all of it over here as well. And we'll also go for like a much darker green, very desaturated, drop the opacity a ton, and just give this a nice kind of circle gradient out. Make it look a little bit blended. Not too much. Basically, as far as a playable space, you get about this much, which is right now approximately 360 meters by or even less, I guess. So here, about 330 meters by 200 meters, which is a decent amount of space, to be honest. I mean, there's only really one way to fully test out how well this works or not, and that's building it. So we can go ahead and create a new area. Call this scene Region 1. And I want to copy the player, UI, lighting, and all of my management systems. We'll go to Region 1, don't save, paste all of this here. And now we'll go ahead and create a new plane. Like so. And the plane is going to be, I mean, the area itself is about 800 by 600, so 400 by, what, 300, I guess? Which is really quite massive. But this is not representative of the amount of space that you actually have after we fill things out. Because this is the global map size for Region 1. But then we're going to be shrinking it a lot. So first step, I would like to just make sure that everything is labeled correctly here. So we kind of have to go, how do we do this?